and then I flip you and it's, hey, how's it going? We're live. Um, Welcome to this week's Camera Shake live stream. Um, it's a new set. What do you think? Pink? Is that good? I don't know. Let me know. Any comments? Just remember, leave your comments in the comment section, no matter whether you're listening on Facebook or on YouTube. In actual fact, hang on a second. I can hear myself here somewhere. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? I don't know. Let me know. Give me 2 seconds. Right. Okay, cool. I think I was streaming to my own computer. How weird. Anyhow, so so it'd be really interesting to know where you are watching from, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Remember, this live stream goes out simultaneously on our Facebook group and our Facebook page, and of course on the YouTube channel. So today we're going to do a little photo critique. Now I've made a little faux pas because I got my weeks wrong. So what's happening is Steve Brazill is going to be on the show on the live stream next Monday. So Monday the 14th, Steve Brazill is going to be here. But for today, I have another special guest who needs no introduction. Give it up for the one and only Peter Morgan. Peter, how are you?
Oh my gosh, yes, that's me. How you doing? Oh, hang on, let me go this way. There you go, you can see me now. Hi, thank you so much for having me on this evening. It's been a bit of a crazy day, so this is kind of nice and relaxing for me, really. I get to chat with friends and critique some photographs and just kind of, so it's been a bit of a crazy day because I've just come back from photographing the Swim Wales National Conference for the last 5 days. I've been there for the last 5 days, so it's been pretty crazy. So I've been stuck in a swimming pool inside for 5 days. So, yeah.
Very cool. Stuck in a swimming pool. Fantastic.
I'm literally half the man I used to be because it was just so hot in there.
Did you actually have to get in the pool, or did you just stay outside?
No. Thankfully, I stayed on the side of the pool and just photographed from the side. But yeah, so that we had people from all over the country coming to compete. Leeds, Bristol, all over Wales, North Wales, Manchester, just coming to compete in a national competitions, which was interesting because it was primarily sort of youngsters. You get the opportunity to kind of get great photographs of them, whilst the coaches tend to look at technique, bit like what we'll be doing tonight, only slightly different.
Yes, exactly. Because we're going to do a little photo critique today. I have a string of photos that I've prepared that we're going to look at, and we're going to look at how well executed we think these photographs are. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, it'd be super awesome to get your comments, get your responses, just first of all, because I'm really curious to see where you're watching from. And secondly, because obviously I'd like to know what you think, whether you agree, disagree, but whether you're a fan of the royals or not, doesn't really matter. We're just going to be looking at some royal portraits. We're just going to have a look and see how good or not they are.
I should say, when it comes to the royals, I was a very big fan of the Queen. So anything with the Queen in it, you're always going to get a 2 thumbs up to start with. Okay, if you've got the Queen in there, it's going to start at 100%. So because
yes, so we will have some images. I mean, obviously, for those, I think everybody around the world will know this, but of course the situation in the UK has changed fairly recently. Because we've had obviously the Queen passed away not too long ago, and we've got a new king over here, and so things have changed maybe even in terms of photography. But that's one of the things I think we're going to discover. So we're going to find out what's happening with that. So yeah, okay, well, right then, shall we have? I tell you what, we'll just give it another minute or so to give people a chance to join in. But yeah, so okay, so tell me about What else has been going on? Of course, Peter, you've been on the show a little while ago. I remember actually, well, check
Yeah.
this out. It's episode 128. So if you want to, go back and have a listen to the whole episode with Peter Morgan on it, we were talking about how to back up your data on your computer and your images and stuff like that. That was super interesting. But yeah, so what else have you been up to since we spoke last?
So during lockdown, I started a company called Tech Photogs. Because I wasn't able to photograph people, as most photographers weren't, I set up a tech company to be able to help photographers remotely, I might add, and just, give people a better understanding of the tech side of things, which is important today. I think the tech side of things with digital cameras is important as learning a darkroom was with film, because it's not just taking the photographs or even processing them in Lightroom. It's having a storage system, to be able to quickly access all your pictures, but also to be able to archive them. And with file sizes getting larger every couple of years, then we need to be able to look at that as a solution. I started, believe it or not, I started with a Canon 40D, and that was a 10 megapixel camera. And I'm using the R5 now, which is a 45 megapixel camera. So even in that relatively short space of time, being able to back up your data and also make it accessible for your customers, or if for yourself, if you're an enthusiast photographer as well, having access to be able to find all your photographs and put your hands on them when you need them is key as well. Lots of us take great photographs, and I suffer from it as much as anybody else. I know that I've taken a photograph of something, but then trying to find it. So partly through clever keywording, partly through a good hierarchical file structure and clever backups, means I should be able to find pretty much everything that I need or want, at the touch of my finger, really. So yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm
Cool.
sure we're gonna revisit that topic, of course, at some point throughout the Counting podcast. I'm just gonna wave back to Micah Burke. Micah's watching all the way over from the US. Hey, Micah, how's it going? Good to see you here.
Hey, Micah, how you
Fantastic.
doing?
Excellent. So, all right, we're gonna kick off with our first photo. So, just a reminder, we're gonna have a look at royal photos, royal portraits that I would say, well, that have been taken over the last sort of 10 years or something. So we're gonna have a look at how they maybe changed in style, and also we're gonna see how well executed we think they actually are. Remember, these are portraits of the royal family over here in Britain. So we're going to kick off with the first photo. Here we go. We're going to have a quick look at that. Peter, you haven't seen these yet.
All right,
And I can
okay.
see myself in the background there.
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
give some hands.
I wow, there's hands coming out to the side of Charles's
Awesome.
lounge. So, okay, my first thoughts are how incredibly well lit this is. You've got multiple kind of interesting things in the picture. Obviously, you've got the orb and scepter. You've got, what he's wearing. The kind of the robes, the ceremonial robes. There's nice soft lighting coming from behind him, which indicates that he's either sitting near a window or he is lit by a large soft box or something similar, which is great. Harsh lighting, doesn't look good. Doesn't treat King Charles's wrinkles very well. So having soft, fluffy lighting is always going to be good. The jewels look well lit, the crown jewels. You can still see the background as well, and the velvet, which is great. my eyes are instantly drawn to the lightest part of the image, which ironically are the ceremonial robes and his face. He looks remarkably like his mother there. Um, Very much so. I'm not sure whether that's kind of a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, so very well lit. I'm sure if we zoomed in closer, we could get some indication as to how this image was taken from the reflections in the orb. Um, but yeah, so you know, it's a nice picture. I think it's the white balance is quite warm as well, which kind of reflects the king's character, and yeah, it feels quite nice and relaxed. There's a spill of light as well coming from above. Oh, you can see it on the back steps as well. That looks like it's been lit from above, or because possibly the chair would cover the light source from behind. So it could be that there's two light sources: natural light coming in, and also light from like a window light or a softbox.
So
Yeah.
just to give our listeners or viewers a little bit of a background. So this is a photograph that was taken by Hugo Bernard. I think that's or Bernard. That's how you pronounce it. So he's the royal photographer at the Royal Court in the UK. At the moment, he's a French photographer. He's been doing it for a little while. He shot the wedding of Charles and Camilla, and he also shot the wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton. He's also shot a number of other sort of A-list stars. So he's a bona fide portrait photographer. But this photograph that we're looking at right now, that was taken at the coronation, and I know that he really didn't have a lot of time. There were literally minutes, and I think
Yeah.
this is, we're going to come to some other photos a little bit later that were taken by Annie Leibovitz a few years ago, and there's another story attached to that as well. But, so from what I know anyway, as far as royal portraits are concerned, there isn't a great deal of time involved. Micah says,
I just saw
someone should
Micah's comment now.
yeah, Micah, someone should have fixed the vest. Yes, so basically, so this would be my main criticism when I look at this picture. I'm thinking the lighting is, I would say, okay. It's like
Yeah.
it seems like a fairly large softbox. I guess in the orb, the reflection, it seems like there's some window light involved as well. So
Yeah.
we can see the shadow on the shadow side of the face. Gives us an idea. It's basically sort of an open loop kind of lighting. There's, it's almost Rembrandt, but not quite. So there's a large light source on the side. The shadows aren't particularly deep, so there's something filling that in from the other side. So I think what tells me that this was a really quick portrait is the fact that when you look at the robe and the clothing, they aren't really particular. I mean, they're a little bit of a mess. If
Yeah.
I'm totally honest, I mean, basically I don't think there was a lot of time to sort all of that out. If you had an hour or so, to sit somebody and get everything 100% right, I think you'd probably, you spend a little bit more time on getting these robes. There's a lot of fabric there. It's all kind of flowing, off the chair and onto the floor. So that's, I think that to me is the indication that was probably a little bit rushed. But then it's the coronation, so how much time are you going to have realistically?
Yeah.
It's going to be like minimal.
They
Minimal.
just threw it down and just, sit there, look this way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
Hold
that's
this.
probably what it is. Like, how much time are you going to get with the King of England? Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is
Absolutely.
that's the thing. Right, we're going to have a look at the next image. The next image is flying in right there. Okay, so this is from the same shoot, and there's my hands again. I need to really sort this out. Hang on a second. Okay, switch this button. Boom. Okay, here we go.
Cool.
Right, so this is Queen Camilla. I think it's Queen Camilla, isn't it? Is that what they call her?
Yeah, so I do believe she is Queen Camilla now, not the Queen's consort, as they referred to her prior to the I guess that was what she was going to be called. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm not entirely sure, but she is now referred to as Queen Camilla. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So again, same scenario. This was taken at the coronation
Yeah.
by Hugo
It does.
Bono. And
It
I need
does
to.
feel.
I tell you what. I tell you what I need to do is I need to get Hugo on the show at some point, just so I can learn how to pronounce his name. I think it's
Yeah.
Bernon. If I'm, well, I don't know. I think that's what it is. If you're
Yeah.
if you're watching and you know how to pronounce his name,
Yeah.
please let me know. But
Uh,
again, same scenario, same shoot, I guess.
I mean, there's a
Slightly
chair
different
in the
occasion.
background, right? Why not just
Yes.
move the chair? Move the
Yes.
chair. It's a bit distracting, you know.
Exactly. And again, to me, when I look at that, I mean, the lighting's very flat on this for me. It's very, I mean, it's almost like I think it could be natural light even. This is like,
Yeah.
it looks a little bit like, okay, you just stand over there, keep your eyes on the
Yeah.
lens. Here we go. Again, I think it seems like a very rushed portrait. Again, the rope is there. It's a little bit, but
I
yeah,
mean, for me, I'm a portrait photographer, you know, as well as we do lots of things, lots of types of photography, and even when you're rushed with photography, you know, a good photographer should literally have scoped all this out, right? Where are we going to go? What lighting will we have? What do I need set up already? So that, like, if you're photographing celebrities and their time is very limited, everything should be set up beforehand. So you literally stand there, look this way, just, you know, push your chin out, drop your chin slightly, turn your head, do this, do that. You know, I always remember Peter Hurley. I had a discussion with Peter Hurley about headshots, and me sort of asking him, you know, why he, apart from the skill level, why he got paid so much for his portraits, and it's because he can do in 2 minutes what it can take other photographers 2 hours to do to get. You know, being able to know exactly what you want and have the planning and skill to be able to get that just by going, right, turn your head this way, tilt your head slightly, no, a little bit more, bring your head round this way, push your chin out, drop your chin slightly, okay, you know, squinch up your eyes, give me some eyebrow action, do a bit of this, you know, having a photographer that can understand human emotions and face and kind of plan everything beforehand so that you're inconveniencing, that was the word I was looking for, so that you're inconveniencing your subject as little as possible is what's key, I think, when you're kind of, I'm asking one of the most famous people in the world for their time.
So here's a question because obviously, Peter, you've got considerably more wedding photography experience than I have. What do you have to look out for when you're photographing the bride's dress? Because I know that's tricky.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think if you'd asked me the same question 5 or 6 years ago, you'd probably have a different answer to now. But I think now, looking at the way I shoot my weddings, the first consideration is what type of dress is it? How reflective is the surface of the dress? Does it lend itself to being near a window? Is there enough room for the dress? Brides with lots of big dresses, don't try and squeeze it into a small space. You know, find the space that reflects the bride's personality and the garment, and also by a hand steamer, right? Okay, because literally these brides will have had these dresses in garment bags, and they pull them out and there'll be, there'll be creases everywhere. In terms of the actual lighting and the photography for dresses, look for what's interesting about a dress. Is it the back? Does it have buttons? Is there lace on there? Is there detail, how does it make the bride feel when she's in it? You know, has she not tried the dress on for 3 weeks and is struggling to get into it? Or is it, does it need pegs on the back because she's lost weight since trying it on? So many things you're juggling with as a wedding photographer. You know, it's a given that as wedding photographers we look for good light, adequate space, and interesting kind of non-cluttered backgrounds. You know, um, so yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot of things that goes on in my mind when photographing wedding dresses. Um, Wedding dresses always look better when there's people in them. When you hang a dress, sometimes it just doesn't look great unless you kind of it's filled out by the bride.
Yeah, and in this particular picture, I think, the exposure on the dress seems okay. It's like I said,
It is very flat, though. You are right.
yeah, it's quite flat. There's not really very much going on in terms of shadows or anything, so there's no real shape to it. All right, well, we're going to have a look at the next picture. Here's the third picture. Right. Okay. So here, that's the last picture from this particular shoot. Then we'll move on to some different ones. This one that's the obligatory group picture, the group shot, right?
Yeah.
And so again, taken at the coronation, we've got the entire royal family, and that minus two that apparently are not to be mentioned.
Yeah.
You've got my hands in the background again. Hang on a second. Let me just sort that.
Well, they would have had to put them both side anyway, because you've got symmetry there, right? There's some nice symmetry. Although, can I just say, do you know what really bothers me? Why are Charles and Camilla not in the centre? Why are they not in the centre? I mean, just move them to the left a little bit. My OCD is kicking me now, going, why are they not? And I understand he's the king, but they're a couple, just kind of, they should be, in my mind, they should be slightly, Charles should take a step to his right, just a little bit, because they feels off centre. I don't know.
Exactly. No, I agree. There's really, there's something weird going on there. It's everything's kind of off kilter a little bit. And again, we've got this problem with the ropes again. They're just.
I just thought of something. I wonder if they were all being photographed separately and just photoshopped in.
Then, it would have been even easier then to move everybody slightly to the right.
I think you're probably right. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Weird.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look at the trains there. What is going on with those trains?
Yeah, that's
honestly, wedding dress, lift and drop, right? Lift and drop. Come on, like what's going on? It would have taken somebody 2 seconds to tidy that up.
Exactly, and you would have thought. Normally, I would imagine as a photographer, you'd have one or several assistants on this job. So to get all of that. Right.
There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason why they wanted it like that, because it would literally take 2 seconds to tidy that up.
Yeah, I imagine again we're looking at time pressure here. That's that to me, it's that's, I think that's probably it. Mike is saying, lady at the bottom right is really enjoying herself, even though being held up. Yeah.
I just wonder where Edward's hand is. I think it might maybe that's why she's smiling. He's holding it up.
Yeah, I don't even know. I wouldn't be able to name all of the people in this shot, if I'm honest with you. My knowledge.
Sophie on the right. Then you've got William and Kate, just on the same side. The Anne, and I can never remember Anne's husband's name. They go, okay. I don't know everybody else.
Yeah,
they must be. The only thing I can think of is they must be part of Camilla's family, perhaps, maybe relatives of Camilla's. I'm just, and the thing is as well is people, you haven't seen, perhaps you haven't seen Edward in a couple of years. It doesn't look like Andrew's not in there. So, you know,
Yeah, it's quite a few people that weren't invited, I guess,
yeah,
for obvious
didn't quite.
reasons. All right.
Uh,
Very strange. Anyway, so again, that's one of the most recent images from the coronation, the group image.
but you look at
Um,
that image without the people in it, right? And that's fairly symmetrical. There's a little more space on the right than there is on the left. So you look at the wall decoration, and there's more on the right than there is on the left. So someone's obviously gone the time to set up the shot, and kind of get it sort of lined up. And then everybody's like, just get in the photo, get photo bomb, everybody get in.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Or they set it up and then had to crop it like
yeah,
this because it just turned out it wasn't
yeah.
quite, things weren't really quite lined up. But anyway, so we're going to move on to the next image. So the next image is this one here. This is it's an image that was taken
Oh,
by Anna Leibovitz of Queen Elizabeth
yeah.
II. So
I can get that straight away. Oh my God, I
and
love
that's
that.
I have to say, this is just one thing. This is slightly cropped at the bottom. I don't know why that's happening in Ecamm. I have no idea. I need to really work on that. So if it looks like it's cropped a little too far in at the bottom, the original image, it does have a little bit more space there. But so this image again, it was shot by Anna Leibovitz, I believe, roughly around 2008, give or take, something like that.
Yeah,
There's an interesting story to this because so the Queen was wearing, obviously she's wearing a tiara, or do you call it a crown? I guess it's a tiara, right, in this image.
tiara.
And
Yeah,
during the shoot, at some point, Annie Leibovitz asked the Queen whether she could take the tiara off, and was met with a rather, well, a rather dissatisfied look. I don't think that went down very well at all. But so it's in my view, it's a gorgeous photo. The lighting in this is
yeah.
absolutely superb.
I love her work. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of Annie Leibovitz. I recently bought, so I've got Annie Leibovitz at work, and I bought Emma, my partner, bought me Wonderland for my birthday. Plus, I've got loads of her old books as well, Photographer's Life. Just beautiful, beautiful, emotive portraits. But do you know the one thing that when you mentioned the story about her asking the Queen to take her tiara off, it reminds me of that famous portrait of Winston Churchill where he was smoking a cigar, and I can't remember the name. I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember the name of the photographer. If anybody knows it, just pop it in the comments. Who literally went in and grabbed the cigar from Churchill just before he took the portrait, and then snapped the portrait of him, and that's why Churchill's got that kind of look like this with no cigar in it, because the photographer
We're
went and
suggesting she snatched the Queen's cigar at this point.
yeah, it could have been, yeah, but it gave Churchill that kind of "what the heck do you think you're doing" kind of gruff look, which
Yeah.
was that portrait of this very famous of Churchill, and I think sometimes doing something like that to elicit the response that you want is genius,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
requires a lot of guts to do it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, this is like, to me, I love this because it's so, in a sense, it's, the contrast is extremely stark, like between the highlights and the shadows in this one. And yet, the skin tones are very
It's been
gray,
softened loads.
Yeah, it's been
It's like
softened
a glamour
a ton.
portrait.
Yeah. And what I like about it, with like a little, that's very typical, I think, for a lot of Anna Leibovitz's work, is that actually we can see a lot of detail in the background as well. So, we've got, not only do we have the, the furniture and the mirror and all that kind of stuff, and the flowers in the background, and the, the like the
Yeah.
wall decorations, but also we can see through the window, and we can see the trees and the clouds and all and everything in the background, and and nothing's blown out, everything's perfect,
I wonder where
you
that was
know.
taken, whether it was at Sandringham or Windsor, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
and it's
Yeah.
that's a portrait that's it's really, yeah, it's almost like a painting. I think
Timeless.
it's, yeah, timeless, and it's very much like Pinterest. Micah's
Oh,
saying
yeah.
Roaring Lion by Yusuf Karsh. Okay.
That's the photograph of Churchill, I think.
Yes.
Micah, that's the one, isn't it? Yeah. Brilliant. I love it. I love that story.
Yeah.
That kind of way nicked the kind of cigar from Churchill.
So
Brilliant.
that's again a classic photograph. So we're going to have a look at another Annie Leibovitz shot of the Queen. This one, when I first saw that, I fell in love with it straight away. It looks like this. Here we go.
Oh, wow, yeah. It does
That
look like
is,
she's been superimposed a bit.
yeah, but it's really interesting to me because it's such a non-typical way of photographing, like the Queen of England, basically.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that conversation went when there must have been talking through the concept beforehand, and it's I often wonder how these conversations go when this is like so different from pretty much I think anything that's been done before. Although this looks like a painting that could be in the National Gallery. In fact, I'm going to the National Gallery next week, so that'll be
Oh, right.
interesting. But this one will be, this is it's like something that could be an oil painting on the wall, basically.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's used a flash from the left-hand side or a small-headed reflector from the left-hand side because
Yeah.
there's a split light where if you look at the left side of her face, she's lit there, and there's not much light on the right-hand side of her face at all. But there's no shadows around the trees or anything behind, really. The light looks like it's coming from behind, which makes me think it might be a composite because, there's no rim lighting around her, really, around the back of her head. There's no spill on her shoulders or anything. And it looks like there's a mid-lit. So if you look at a middle button of the three buttons, you've got to the right of that part is lighter. So it's a little bit of a confusing portrait because the light that's on the right hand side of those buttons, if that's coming from the right, surely the right hand side of her face should have more light. But then actually there's light on the right hand side of her face, and on her left there's not enough light up by her cheek, but she's being lit around midway. So either they've used something like a snoot, which is kind of spilled the light midway and lit the middle but not the bottom and the top. I'm sure this is a composite.
It
I'm
could it
pretty
could very
sure.
well be.
Yeah, because if you look at her shoulder as well, the Queen's right shoulder, where it's very angular, like it's been cut out there. So it's just
That's
that
quite.
the lighting doesn't match,
It's quite.
you know?
It's yeah. It's quite possible. It does make for a very dramatic portrait, though. I mean, it's again, it's one of the sort of royal portraits where I think like, well, this is really different, and actually, you know, in comparison to your box standard royal portrait, this is really very different. And
I'm
actually,
wondering, right? I just had an idea. I'm sorry to interrupt. I've just had a thought. I wonder if that's a picture somewhere in one of her residences and she's just standing in front of it.
well, I'm wondering whether maybe they've recreated a painting or something like that. Maybe that was the idea.
Yeah,
Not sure, but that'd be quite interesting. So if anybody's got any
yeah.
inside knowledge of that, that would be very interesting. Okay, let's move on to the next image. I'm
Okay.
just gonna hit that. Well, okay. So again, it's from the same shoot. We've
Yeah.
got essentially it's not too dissimilar from the first Annie Leibovitz image, but this one is basically kind of shot from the other way. Now, there's something very creepy about this image. Well, first of all, when you just look at it, the lighting is interesting. You know, obviously, we've got this window light coming in. We've got this, you know, we've got a little bit of spill on the far side of the face with a very deep shadow there as well. But then if you look at the far left of this image, right, you'll see
Yeah.
a woman standing in the dimly lit background. What is up with
Yeah.
that?
Just close this door.
Like, what is that? Like, why is that
I
person
think
there?
that's
That's the creepiest
yeah.
thing.
So the Queen will have had ladies in waiting, basically to kind of, you know, help her with affairs of state. But I mean, like I consider myself to have quite a lot of OCD, and you know, in that now why is there on the, as I'm looking at, on the left hand side of the image, there's two very bright kind of parts there, you know, why those are very very bright. Are they calling my eye over? Now surely those should have been, unless this has not been retouched at all, and it's just straight out of camera, which you know, doesn't seem like it could be the case because of the, it looks like there's a LUT or a filter or a kind of a preset or something to give it a certain kind of feel over the top, you know. Why would you not just retouch out the two white bits that are calling to the eye on the left so that
Yeah,
the full concentration is on the, I mean, why, we have to assume that anything that's in this photograph, if the photographer is of a good enough standard, that they're meant to be there.
well, again,
Otherwise,
it's another one of Annie Leibovitz's images. This one, so you know, I'm thinking, well, whatever's happening in this photo is there for a reason. So I'm just wondering why that woman is, you know, in the far
I'm,
left of the image. It's kind of strange, unless it's sort of
I
an in
mean,
joke. Maybe it's an in joke.
yeah, I mean, my thoughts are maybe it's to show that the Queen was a very busy lady, doesn't have time, doesn't have much time to give to the photographer, but maybe it's kind of, you know, Annie Leibovitz's way of saying, look, she's got time for me, you know,
Yeah.
because even with affairs of state going on, you know, and she doesn't have time to send her lady in waiting out, and you know, she's got time to spend with me. I don't know, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of these things. I mean, you know, there's something I really like about the composition. Again, I've got to just say that the bottom of the image, and that's actually going a little bit further, so it seems like it's cropped in just a touch
Yeah,
too much, which is sort of a weird Ecamm feature. But other than that, the general crop is what it is. You know, when I look at that, of course, my eye initially is drawn to the right side of the image because that's where all the highlights are, and so the curtain on the far right is very bright. So you know, it's
yeah,
like it's competing to me. It's competing with the main subject in the image a little bit, and then, I mean, personally, because she's wearing this sort of almost like gold-colored dress and then this really, really dark cape,
yeah,
I'm sort of just miss. I mean, to me, there isn't a terrible amount of detail in that
yeah,
rope. You know, it's all of a sudden it's like almost like, you know, the shadows are blocking up a little bit,
yeah,
and all the detail is gone. And then of course we can see the sort of grandeur of the location, but of course
yeah.
all of that is kind of dimmed out, which is cool. You know, that's how it should be, and it gives it. There's also a lot of. It almost feels like there's some green in the highlights
Yeah.
as well, just to give it that
There's a very
slightly.
wide lens as well being used on this. If
Yeah,
you look at the bend, the spherical nature of the bend in the lens,
yeah,
so you know, the Queen has been placed to the right of the center of this image, and yeah, right to the center of this image, and you look at the kind of bend on the walls and the back, you know, kind of, you know, that it's.
Yeah,
It's
it's
probably a very wide lens, probably maybe a 1635 or 16 mil, or maybe I don't know, it's a wide lens, maybe a 12 mil or something. There's a lot in there, so interesting.
so yeah. Let us know what you're thinking. If you're watching this, give us a, write a comment. No matter whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. In fact, again, as always, be super interesting to find out where you're watching from. So there we are. We've had a look at some royal pictures. I think it's quite a variation in execution in those. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. You always think that surely royal portraits must be super perfect all the time, but
I
it
think I'd
appears.
like to see more royal pictures done by maybe somebody like Andy Gotts. If you look at Andy Gotts' work, he is on Instagram as Dr. Gotts, and he's known as One Shot Gotts. The portraits that he did of Harrison Ford are
Oh yeah.
incredible. Do you remember those? And it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
just, Harrison Ford sort of has a reputation of being not difficult, but kind of doesn't suffer fools gladly. I
No.
think, and quite rightly so. But I remember reading a story that Andy had put on Instagram, and saying that this Harrison Ford turned up and it was just him and a camera, and he was just like, oh wow, okay, let's just do it. I think that's how you get people's personality out,
Yeah.
and people warm to that. People warm to that. I think
And it's also
if I'm photographing somebody and I really want to bring out their personality, you have to make it personal.
And it's also, of course, there's a lot to be said for just, trying to think of something different. Like the Annie Leibovitz shots, they're really different in nature to, this sort of the standard royal portraits. And there's one shot I forgot to add, actually. It's, I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
that, Nick Knight did a
All
portrait
right. Yes.
of Charles and the Queen. Was it Charles and the Queen? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was.
I
A
think
little
so.
while ago. And
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten to add that. But that's another really great image that's just done differently. It's got a classic yet modern look to it, and it's not done in the palace. It seems like it was done. Well, maybe it was done in the palace, but it was done in front of a background. So So yeah, that's
Yeah.
one to check out. So yeah, there you have it. We've had a look at some of the royal portraits over the last few years. Let me know or let us know what you thought. Leave a comment, and of course, you can always support the Camera Shake podcast. We're over on buymeacoffee.com. You could buy me a coffee. I'm out of coffee actually. That's the thing. So buymeacoffee.com forward
Yeah.
shake. Buymeacoffee.com/camera shake. Head over there. You can support the podcast that way. That'd be fantastic. We'll be back next Monday, Monday the 14th, for another live stream. This time with Steve Brazel. I completely got that wrong on the on on the posts on Facebook and stuff. The Steve Brazel live stream will be happening next Monday, Monday the 14th, same time, 9 p.m. GMT, whatever it is, Pacific time, and
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time, no idea, but it'll be on a thing. So same time as usual. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Remember, leave comments. Support the podcast on buymeacoffee.com forward. I always want to say forward shake. What is it? It should be forward shake. Shake. Anyhow,
Forward shake. That should be a thing for you, I think. Instead of forward slash, it should be
yeah.
forward shake.
Oh, absolutely. So anyway, there we are. Thanks for watching, and thanks for stopping by. We'll be back next Monday with another live stream, and of course, a super awesome episode coming out this Thursday. If you're into sci-fi, let me tell you, this Thursday's episode is gonna blow your socks off. We have no other than Jesse Fireeisen on the show with his incredible Star Wars related toy photography. And when I say toy photography, you look at these images and they literally look like full-on Hollywood movie poster quality.
Absolutely,
It's incredible.
yeah. I
So,
love his work.
yeah, absolutely incredible. Really great chat we had, and yeah, super great images. So make sure you catch that episode. That's out this Thursday, as always. But we'll see you again next week. Take it easy, and
Thank you. Good night.
over and out. Good night.